What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 15 of the Offseason Swolecast here on RotoGrinders.com. I want to welcome the normal cast of characters: Pete Overzet, Davis Mattek, Dan Gaspar, Mr. Tuttle 05. And guys, we are celebrating 10 years of RotoGrinders. Like 10 years. Pete, can you show your shirt?
Yeah. I helped build this company brick by brick over the years, and I had to wear this shirt to commemorate the blood, sweat, and tears I have poured into this company.
He is the foundation of this company.
You know that T-shirts, did you order a size up just in case we're quarantined for like 6 more months?
Me?
Yeah.
No, man.
T-shirts are supposed to be tight like this right here. You see that?
Pete works out, bro.
I did. I saw Pete is now in the outdoor workout game. So
yeah, I could. You sent me this like very leading Instagram thing where it was like very passive aggressive, trying to equate me doing an outdoor workout to you go to a Planet Fitness indoors without a mask.
I said, "Welcome to the."
Sounds like something David would do.
That sounds very David Kitchen.
I said, welcome to the Fit Fam. I'm glad that you joined the workout.
You can see why it sounded a little disingenuous on my
end. Yeah. Before we get started, there are PGA contests that have started up. We had the big PGA free roll that it filled really quick, so we had to extend it. But PGA is kicked off. Davis, how's everything going for you?
I mean, it's just I really needed the relief of this show this morning. Is all I can really say. It's Shinnecock Village somehow broke out at the Memorial Golf Tournament this weekend.
Well, good thing for you is that we still have the PGA lineup builder or lineup HQ for free, Davis. So if you want to make any sort of showdown slates, it's there for you. So make sure you guys hit that up if you want. Also, again, special thanks to RG just for everything that you guys do. 10 years. 10 years ago, I was in the best shape of my life, and now look at me.
You're in the even better shape.
Bigger shape. It's not just RG that's grown. But what are some fond memories that you guys have of RG? Tuttle, what are some fond memories you have of RG?
Man, they're always the life of the party, Cam, whenever you go to any of those finals, or even now that I'm part of the RG team, we get to go to the RG parties. Knock on wood that we actually have one this year. But they've always been there. That was something I noticed when David and I tried to start up Fantasy Insiders, going to those live finals and always seeing Cam, Cal, and even though we were technically competitors, albeit not strong competitors at the time, they were always very, very, very gracious and very nice to us.
Yeah, and Dan, and don't forget, I mean, Dan was doing all the interviews
too.
He was the one kind of. That's how I got started with RotoGrinders and Grinders Live, is Dan interviewing me, and then he was like, "Wow, you've got some real swagger, kid. How would you like to launch a concept I have called Grinders Live?" And ever since that, RG is just kind of taken off. It was like the curve was flattened, and then
they got David on board.
I mean, that was pretty much the timeline. Peter, what about you?
Well, it was funny. I was watching the compilation video that RotoGrinders put together, and Dan Bach is kind of like the Paul Rudd of the DFS world, in that he just hasn't aged a bit. Like, he's just the same guy, same voice, same intonation. He's just locked in a time warp, I think.
Davis, how old were you in 2010?
In 2010, I was 18.
So you were just starting adulthood.
Just a young pup.
Just a young pup. whenever you started playing DFS, was that like 20? It was like 2012, 2013.
Oh, RG got all my affiliate dollars. They got my FanDuel affiliate dollars. They got my DraftKings affiliate dollars because I needed that sweet RG premium. So, I think over the years I have been a very kind friend to Cal and Cam in that way.
So you two built this company deposit by deposit.
Deposit by deposit.
I've been the original deposit king.
Oh man. Just when you think about what if that model of affiliate dollars didn't exist and it was the way sportsbooks works now, which it was just dollars per customer, like how different would RG look? It's very interesting to think of that.
Yeah, I would think it'd be interesting to think like if we did not have Swolecast, like if the Swolecast did not make its way over from Fantasy Insiders to RotoGrinders and Cal wasn't able to win that $1 million off of the Kittle call,
right.
He'd probably he'd be just living that peasant life right now.
Brick by brick.
I do think, actually, that does remind me, Dave, my favorite moment in RotoGrinders history was Evan Silva launching his own site to be the only people to cover NFL action and paving the way for me to join the Swolecast. Definitely my favorite moment.
Yeah, Silva getting Wally pipped was something that we did not anticipate, but here we are. So special thanks to everyone that has been with us, and then we're gonna, for some reason, keep the whole Swolecast thing going. All right, let's get on to something very near and dear to all of our hearts. Derrick Henry. Let's just take a moment to pause and just appreciate the freak athlete, the talented guy, good locker room guy. Why doesn't this guy deserve it? King Henry, with his contract extension that people didn't think was possible, and yet the Titans did it. And honestly, I think it made a lot of sense for the Titans. But I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Do you
Davis,
really?
Let's start.
I've
actually gone the other way since I'm pro labor always. I think that the Derrick Henry contract is a win for the proletariat. So I am now every player should just get paid. That's now what I believe.
Davis, do you think that Derrick Henry is the same as any other running back in the league?
I mean, he's not as good as like Damian Williams, but proof is in the pudding, Dave. Dave, the proof is in the pudding, Dave. The Titans lost to the Chiefs when it mattered. Yeah,
they did.
The proof is in the pudding.
They also rode the backs of Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, who are now just they got paid and good for them. Oh, Pete, where do you land on the whole Derrick Henry paid, overpaid, underpaid?
Yeah, well, first off, I do want to say there was a rumor going around that you are foregoing your salary for the next 5 years to help cover Derrick Henry's salary. And I just wanted to say that's incredibly generous of you, and you're finally putting your money where your mouth is, Dave.
Thank you.
When you look at the other running backs who are paid more than him per year, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Ezekiel Elliott, yes, I think Derrick Henry is better than those running backs.
I think you just have to be inspired by confidence when you see those list of guys who've gotten paid. I think you just have to look at that list and be like, this is a great idea.
Yeah. So yeah, you know what? I am still not going to be drafting any Derrick Henry this year, but I'm happy for him. I'm happy for his family, and I'm happy for the town of Nashville and the people like you, Kitchen, who have backed him year after year after year and never wavered.
Never wavered.
Shout out to John Robinson for making this deal happen. Because, like, when they announced that the deal is because I've been on the team, like, I love Derrick Henry. I would love for them to franchise tag him this year, but after that, probably doesn't make a lot of sense if you're going to pay him, like,
so you are a disingenuous Derrick Henry fan.
No, Davis. See, I'm not like you where I can add a bit of nuance to the conversation, and I don't have to do stuff specifically for brand. So I can recognize that Derrick Henry is a generational talent, but also that you should not give him like $16 million, like the CMAC money. And the contract that they gave him wasn't much worse than guaranteeing the 2 franchise tags, like franchise tag for this year, franchise tag for next year. And so basically the few extra million that he's getting, he deserves. He deserves that for putting the Titans on his back. And there are people out there that just they cannot understand why guys like Derrick Henry, even C-Mac, but guys that have a specific skill set or size that you can't coach are way better options than like a typical running back like Raheem Mostert or Damian Williams, right? Like, Davis, would you at least admit that in the conversation that we're having?
What you want me to admit that Derrick Henry is good at playing the running back position? Like, sure.
I want you to admit that, like, a guy that is a physical freak like he is, 6'3", 250, that runs a 4.5 40.
Let's get his body fat percentage while you're at it, Dave.
When he's going downhill. Have you seen his off-season workout videos?
Oh, yeah, running up the hill.
They're more intense than Alvin Kamara this year. So, I mean, we're talking about a guy that works his tail off and that is a physical freak.
Hey, man, any money that leaves a billionaire's pocket is good by me, buddy. So we stand King Henry.
All right. Derek Carter yesterday got some flack from Titans fans. He said Derrick Henry gained 5.1 yards per rush attempt in 2019. The worst QB by the metric, Mitchell Trubisky, gained 6.1 yards per pass attempt in 2019. Just saying.
I love Derek Carty's Twitter strat. Like, he'll lay low for weeks and then just swoop in with the most incendiary, polarizing thread possible. Just throws the bomb and just walks away. Yeah.
Hey, I hear threads are good for engagement, though.
You gotta thread it.
Tuttle, what do you think about that take?
Oh, I hate Twitter threads.
I think
you should throw Mitchell Trubisky behind the Titans O-line, and he'll probably be just as good as Derrick Henry.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Scott Fish Bowl. Most have wrapped it up. Our league just went from like almost done by the weekend to like getting a half a round per day now. So we're still not done. We still got 2 more rounds left. Yeah. Wow. But it was like to round 18 by Saturday. So it's just like moving at a snail's pace. Yeah. It's a little bit of a slow crawl. People like to just enjoy the last sips where they have it. But Peter, how did you fare in the Scott Fish Bowl?
I crushed it, man. I really did crush it. I think this is my year. I got stacks on stacks on stacks. We did the damn thing. I think I'm going to ship it.
How much did you look at the RotoGrinders tool? Because I know Davis did, as far as like who drafted him and my team.
Yeah, I looked at it before every pick. I'm serious.
Yeah, I used it a bunch.
Yeah, Davis, it's pretty clear. Like, you compare yours to the FF_contrarian. It's like,
I don't think we have any overlap.
Oh yeah,
I literally don't know if we share one player.
Oh, stop, Davis. This is disingenuous right now.
I can go look at his team right now.
Right. So whose teams would you go and look at then before you'd make a pick? If you didn't look at his.
Oh, I was looking at his team for sure, but he was in the same conference as me, so it was very easy to look at.
Yeah, so they can't have the same players. Duh.
I was more just looking at ADPs, to try the live ADP for the drafts that were ahead of us to see, how risky could you get for hoping a guy would come back? When did you need to get aggressive to grab him? Then I did lock up the league winner in the 20th round, Patrick Laird, so that worked out. Dave, I know you took umbrage with the last few picks in my draft.
I saw that screenshot.
Your last 4 picks of the draft, you took Andy Isabella in the 19th, Patrick Laird in the 20th, Rex Burkhead in the 21st. If you're not seeing a pattern here, the 22nd round you took.
Are you calling Pete a white supremacist drafter?
I'm not saying he's. No,
let's not do this again.
I'm saying that especially the Isabella Arnold pairing. Go ahead. It's like, you think that's going to be the stack that ships it? Is that why you're feeling so confident?
I mean, I do think that if I'm invested in Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, I didn't get my boy Christian Kirk. And if I win this league, it's going to be because that Cardinals offense goes nuclear, which means the ancillary pieces are going to benefit. Andy Isabella, you want to target second-year wide receivers who had good prospect profiles. He's not like the highest probability bet, but I think you could do worse. And Dan Arnold, my buddy Pat Corain, keeps sending me clippings from Arizona beat reports, and they seem to like Dan Arnold.
They signed Dylan Cantrell, though, bro. Arnold's season is over.
I'll cut him for Cantrell. I'm ruthless like that.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by the Arnold pick. I
felt like with my 22nd round pick.
I'm sure David learning who Dan Arnold was for the very first time. I'm sure he was surprised.
No, showdown slates. If you played any sort of showdown slates, you know who Dan Arnold is.
Hey, be honest. When you were prepping that screenshot to send over, before did you Google image Dan Arnold?
No, I know who Dan Arnold is. Again, if you played any showdown slates that the Saints were involved in, you knew who he was.
All right, I gotta look at David Kitchen's team.
Shout out UW Platteville, Dan Arnold.
Really? There you go. But I just thought that you would go with someone like you went with Laird with the 20th pick. So I thought that with Isabella and Laird that you would again kind of go for the bits in the 22nd round. And Arnold didn't really fit that as like a bit player.
Wait, who would have been the bit pick that I passed up on?
Like, I don't know. I mean, you picked Laird. You
probably
could have waited.
Miles Gaskin would have been the bit pick, I think, Pete.
You probably could have waited to the 22nd to draft Patrick Laird.
Well, I was actually looking at ADP, and that was not the case. There's some Laird fever out there.
You know, Laird scored the 6th most points of all rookie running backs last year, right?
He had the 2nd most receiving yards of any rookie running back last year, right?
You know that?
Yeah.
Do you know that?
I do.
Do you?
Do you know that? Do you
really
know it?
Have you internalized it?
Interesting.
They also added 2 running backs to the squad.
Speed bumps.
Beware false prophets.
Jordan Howard and
we have inside info that Laird will not be opting out of a COVID related season though. So take that for what you will.
Leaking inside info on the Swolecast.
Leaks,
I
bro.
love it.
I know, right. Davis. I did see you respond to one tweet where you're like, actual NFL players saying that as if like you're talking to any other NFL player.
It could be Brian Hill. All right.
When was the last time you and Brian exchanged messages?
Dude, we've been DMing, bro.
Yeah, right.
He was making some really interesting points yesterday about the value of prenuptial agreements on Twitter. So
was he really?
No. He was talking about prenups, but I didn't find it interesting or engaging.
Wow.
Did you see any of the picks that I had, Davis, that were not good?
So I gotta ask.
Okay.
What was your plan as it relates to Phillip Rivers? Like what is the deal with taking Phillip Rivers? Are you planning on are you wanting to start a wide receiver as your super flex most often, or are you gonna just riding it with King Phillip?
Well, we talked last week with Ben Gretsch, and I talked about my strategy.
Yeah, he liked Rivers. I did not, though.
Well, yeah, he said he had him like his QB 17 after Josh Allen. So basically, my strategy was try to like I needed a second quarterback, and I gambled, and I went with Gesicki as my 9th round pick, hoping that no one would take Rivers. And then sure enough, no one did. So I got Phillip Rivers. Feel good about getting Rivers in the 10th, comparatively speaking, to where everyone else went and the rest of my team, like Godwin, Ridley, Metcalf, Diggs, pairing with the 3 stud tight ends I have. And then I did hedge a little bit with some premier former college great quarterbacks. I got Tua in the 13th to pair with Gesicki. And then in the 19th, I got Marcus Mariota. who I thought was I'd rather have like Mariota than Fitzpatrick.
So it pains me to say this, but I'm looking at your team.
It's not that bad.
It's
not that bad.
We all wanted it to be worse.
Yeah,
but
I thought you'd put together like a clutch fantasy-esque, like robust RB strategy, and you somehow were able to avoid that.
Devin,
what are we going to bet between all three of our teams? We need like a seasonal Swolecast Scott Fishbowl bet.
Yeah, we do.
But I also have a request for Devin. Please splice together a highlight reel of Davis saying, like, I don't give these low-life scumbags any publicity. And then with him saying Jacob Rickroad and Clutch Fantasy over again. I need that super cut.
It's a gathering of negativity coming out of Davis's mouth.
Yeah, we can get a Scott Fishbowl bet going.
Yeah, because Davis's team is basically just like a recycled RotoViz team. It's kind of like he just looked at some of the RotoViz guys and got a bunch of their players like around later. So
I can't blame Davis. If you ever hear me have a fantasy football take, it's probably something Sean Siegel wrote that I'm just parroting back to someone else. So
that's what I'm saying.
What pick on my team do you think was a RotoViz pick, Dave? Because I actually went against what was the outcome of Hassan's article based off of the projections, which was to take tight ends early. I didn't take a tight end until the 8th round.
Yeah. Well, we already know that your tight end selection was not great. But I'm talking about the Edmonds pick, the Eno Benjamin pick. Those were all RotoViz picks.
I don't know how they get to brand themselves as Chase, like the Chase Edmonds site. Like, who doesn't know? Like, that's kind of like the pick where, like, if you make it, that's a person that's good at fantasy, and then if they don't take Chase Edmonds, you have to leave it up to question.
Yeah.
I would say RotoViz picks, I would classify them as like gross running backs that other people don't want to take. So like I took Darrell Henderson. That's a RotoViz pick because he's going to be a guy that falls in that 0 running back range. Everyone thinks he sucks, but he's incredibly affordable. Like getting him at 1504. Mike Clay had a tweet thread about this the other day, about how the ADP disparity between him and Akers is absolutely silly. And people are just making giant assumptions because they don't like Henderson.
Yeah. Now, Davis, your team is not RotoViz-esque. I was just mentioning the Edmonds Eno pick because I also I thought Eno ended up being a guy that was a value in this format because it's not 100% that Edmonds would be like a workhorse if and when Kenyon Drake got injured. Can we talk about LaVisca?
Of course. Anytime.
One of the all-time values per Pat Kerrane.
You got him at wide receiver 69 there in Jacksonville. Nice. Just explain your thinking as far as him in this Jacksonville offense, rookie wide receiver, not a lot of offseason time to gel. You've got other wide receivers in this offense. Why him, basically?
I'll let Pete go first.
So the thesis on Laviska Shenault, and I actually don't think he's that different from opportunity standpoint as guys like Jalen Reagor and Brandon Ayuk, except those guys are actually going more reflective of that opportunity that they have. And Laviska is going in just absurdly late. I've seen him in the 17th of these FFPC drafts. And yeah, he's going to step right in. He's going to be the number 2 right behind DJ Chark. There's no way they throw to Leonard Fournette as much as they did last year. And he was an insanely good prospect. The only reason he slipped to the 2nd round in the NFL draft was because of his injury concerns. He dominated at University of Colorado. They used him in all phases. And I recently, for the first time, watched some of his highlight film. The dude just sheds tackles like it's nothing. I mean, he's going to be a big part of their offense.
Yeah, he looks like Derrick Henry with the ball, bro.
I didn't know we were going to have a highlight takes.
We love Laviska Shenault.
He's sick.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
I thought Leonard Fournette was supposed to be on a different team by now.
See, Tuttle, you got a bad impression of him because he was so slow and gross his last season because he had that groin injury, so he was way slower.
For college football DFS, he was trash last year.
He was supposed to be because he was amazing.
I played him the year before, or whatever, 2 years before.
Darrington Evans. Both you guys have more Titans than I do on my team.
Yeah, you destroyed your brand in this draft.
Yeah, dude, you didn't even get Tannehill or AJ. Like we both, I think you got AJ Brown, right, Pete?
Sore subject.
I have 2 Titans, Dave. I literally out high teed you.
Yeah, it's true, and that was kind of like basically they were picked like 1 or 2 rounds before I thought they would be picked, and so I couldn't.
AJ Brown was one of those guys who had like a super wide range of outcomes of where he was picked. I saw him go like early in the 5th and with like the last pick of the 7th round both.
I think, Dave, what probably happened in your draft is, everyone's kind of looking around the draft room. They see a Titans thought leader like yourself, and they know they have to get aggressive out in front of you.
They pulled like the what everyone in Davis's draft did. Looked at his articles and cheat sheets.
I know the price you pay for being a public sharp. It's immense.
Just like Cash Out King.
Cash Out King. Fame has its drawbacks. Its perks. Also, would just like to say, if you took the picture with me at Disney World, please come forward because by the week it's becoming more of a shady story, and I need like validity to this. No,
dude, Dave, everyone clearly believes it. It sounds totally real.
Someone definitely did.
Dave is going full Cash Out King on this. I promise someone took a photo with me. Someone needs to post the photo and publicize the moment.
Hey, if you want to know about Cash Out King, just head over to usbets.com. They got an article about his big win.
Who do we think would win in a fight? Theoretical real person Cash Out King or one Mr. Peter Draft Cheat Christensen?
Cash Out King.
That was an easy call.
The hothead weasel. The hothead weasel has been particularly hot these last couple days.
I think he got himself in a spot he doesn't want to be in with Cash Out King here. I mean, Cash Out King, the theoretical Cash Out King's like 285 pounds, he said, or something like that.
Massive.
He's not small.
6'2", 285. I don't want any of that.
Hey guys, I have to ask Toto a question about Cash Out King because I know both of us have recently hopped on the Cash Out King follow train. I made it 2 days before I muted. I didn't realize that he live tweeted every single sporting event of all time around the clock, regardless of what it is. But it sounds like you're enjoying the ride more than I was.
See, he's won me over big time. I gave him the follow because I figured he'd just lose all the money really quickly. And that's still a possibility. But he's just a degen, like myself, like many other people. He's a pure degen. He doesn't deny it. He doesn't pretend to be like some huge sharp bettor. Just a pure degen. And I'm
I add value. I have a valuable voice.
Is it true, Dave, that the U.S. Bets article was written under a threat?
Duress, literally.
Was that written under anyone's free will, or did Cash Out King threaten to ruin the 10-year anniversary for RotoGrinders?
No, I don't think it was. I did think it was funny how he threatened you, and then you immediately like disarmed him by, "Hey, bro, I get it. I also like to threaten journalists to write a story that want to give me exposure," which was like, I appreciate that passive aggressive response to like someone who's being like overly aggressive, because typically they don't know how to handle it, right?
Yeah. I was surprised that he wasn't, because he did tell me to at him because I was a spineless word that won't make Devin bleep. And then I did a parody video, just direct attack at him, and he liked it. And Dave, I have a theory here. And okay. I'm not one to toot my own horn about, what greatest shape I'm in. But if I was more of a dweeb, do you think he would have been as easy to roll over as he did with that parody video?
Like if Davis did the parody video, probably a little bit different, for sure.
I mean, I did have that schmedium wife beater on, and I don't know. Maybe the king didn't want any of this smoke.
So here's the thing with the king. It's like the account is fake. Like the way in which the engagements happen, like immediately after he posts a tweet, like it's all like
you think it's a bot?
No, I don't think he's a bot. I think he pays for bot interactions and follows. I would make that like minus 300 probably.
Has Joey Ingram done a investigative report yet on Cash Out?
Can't you Twitter audit?
Let's do a Twitter audit for the Cash Out.
Live Twitter audit. I'm on board. I'm on the Cash Out Kings train.
I am too, because people always use that argument for the counselor with me. Like he bought his fault. Like that's the thing people love to say. And again, I always concede. I'm sure at some point in his meteoric rise to fame, he bought some followers, but his engagement is insane and he responds to everybody. So I guess I'm
wrong about the Cash Out.
And he's giving out free money. He's giving out free money with his bets. Like people love that. That will get you followers easily.
Well,
Davis is in shock right now.
Davis is in shock.
So it hasn't been updated. So here's the thing. On TwitterAudit.com, it says it hasn't been updated for 5 months, which is
TwitterAudit.com your homepage in your browser, Davis?
This is how sad my life is. My homepage is my fantasy league dashboard because I have so many dynasty leagues that I have to check in on. Not a great life. Davis,
how relieved were you yesterday to not be a victim of the blue checkmark mass eraser?
It's of all of the days in my life in which I've been on Twitter, it's the only day I've ever felt good about about not being a blue check.
It was the Twitter autonomous zone kind of took over. It was a wild day. Like that was just probably just a normal day in 2020, but any other year it would have been like an insanely crazy day for all of the Twitter accounts, or a lot of the verified Twitter accounts, Apple, Uber, Elon, Bill Gates, all these people getting their accounts hacked, asking for people to give them the 2-for-1. It's the same scheme, right? With all the accounts.
Yeah.
I also want to point out there's someone in our chat who created an account with the name Davis's Blue Checkmark. I mean, that's how we know we have loyal fans.
Here's the thing. Anyone who would actually send their Bitcoin to Bill Gates didn't deserve to have it in the first place, and they should be robbed of it.
Correct.
It only I appreciated the original scam, and then people that were scamming the scam by saying the scam had gotten $8 million in Bitcoins when that screenshot was also a scam. So
yeah, it was like, I think there's about $150,000 worth of Bitcoins that were transacted.
Which still good, but if you had the ability to hack Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Apple, Uber, like, wouldn't you do something a little bit different?
I'd ask for Zcash so I'd never get caught.
Look at Davis getting into the weeds with privacy coins on the Swolecast.
Peter, what would you do for your scam? Like send them all to your TikTok page?
To me, the funnest thing would be to start tweeting as them for a while. Like that is what would give me the most enjoyment. Just to get to be Elon Musk on Twitter for a day would just be absolutely wild.
Just making the conspiracy theorists go wild.
Yeah, I've actually pivoted Tesla and we're making consumer purchasable tanks. We want every house in America to be able to buy a Tesla tank. And just have like all the Bitcoin bros just so stoked.
Now that I think about it,
could say anything though, and like whatever you put out there, people would believe it just because
100%.
The boring.
Now that I think about it, I would really just tweet the iTunes link to the Takecast from all of these like super famous verified accounts. That's really all I would do.
That's how we're so different, Davis. I'm thinking of, wow, I could have a day of doing parody tweets, and Davis is like, I could get 1,000 extra views on the Takecast.
You love to see it, dude. Oh, way more than 1,000. We're talking millions and millions of impressions.
How many of those are you going to convert into regular listeners?
I mean, if it's even like 100, that's a win.
Those people that follow it would be perfect, Davis. The perfect Davis listeners, the bot accounts that are going to give people the 2-for-1 Bitcoin scheme.
Speaking about new cars, Dave, I saw you're in the market for a Ford Bronco reboot here.
Yeah, those Ford Broncos, man. I used to love. I would drive one occasionally in high school, and I always I was never a Jeep guy. I always wanted to get a old Bronco, and now the Broncos are back, and I don't know. I feel like it would be a little bit disingenuous because they're outdoorsy, off-roading. I just would like to ride one down the street. I'm not going to take it off-roading. I just think they look nice, and I would like to have it.
I could just see your fantasy. You're picturing you and Derrick Henry riding around town, picking up barbecue, just doing a quick workout in the park. This is your fantasy.
Doing a workout in the park, not a part of Dave's fantasy. Going in to do 15 minutes on the elliptical at Planet Fitness, and then getting a dilly bar is Dave's fantasy.
You had me until you mentioned the workouts, but us with our blizzards out the
what kind of blizzard do you think Derrick Henry orders?
A protein blizzard. I don't know.
I'm so out of the blizzard flavor game. I can't even. I mean, Dave's got them all on lockdown though. Animal cracker flavor. He's he'd actually like the new peppermint cotton candy one a lot. I think. How do you know? He's it's surprisingly underrated.
Get out of here. Hey, I do want to while we're not talking about football right now, I do want to ask you about TikTok, Pete, because I still don't know what happened other than you being okay with the Chinese government stealing your information via TikTok than any other social media account. So is it shut down? What's any different about TikTok now than it was before?
Yeah, so when everyone started saying that, I did log in, and my views had legitimately all been set to 0, which was devastating. Wow. I mean, to go from 7 zeros on a video to 0 is is hard.
Those 3-digit video counts real quick.
So I was yeah, something's up here. But then I was searching that hashtag TikTok down, and I figured that you weren't able to post or anything. I was able to post to get a message out to my followers who I know were really wanting to hear that I was okay. So I was successfully able to do that, and everything seems back to normal now. So something happened there on the back end, and it seemed to coincide with some stuff from the government saying that they were going to try to remove the app from the US
TikTok,
store.
it all it is it's Chinese the China
data harvesting.
Yeah, it's the answer to Facebook. Now, if you have Facebook on your phone, you're clearly already comfortable with your data being harvested to an absurd degree.
So wait, TikTok wasn't removed?
No,
you can
all that stuff happened. I actually listened to a podcast about this. It was all because of Facebook. Because any app that had a sign in with Facebook, you know how you have those different, Spotify, you can sign in with your Facebook account.
Yeah.
Every app like that was affected because it was something with Facebook's login that was all messed up.
So it was all actually Facebook.
And anybody only just was tilted about TikTok because TikTok's the best app in the world.
It's nice to have
so it was a single
TikTok
sign-on?
Yeah.
It was a single sign-on issue, and it wasn't a government thing?
Yes. It had nothing
I'm so
to do
out
with
of the loop. I still thought it was that people
it was
were
tied to
doing
that.
TikToks.
Yeah, it was tied to that because they made the announcement. Trump was we might ban TikTok or something like that. But it had nothing to do with that.
Hey, shout out to you, Pete, for realizing in real time that that your numbers were down.
You know what? To me, I wasn't upset about losing my view counts. I thought of it kind of like the blue check mark thing. I think it should be more of a meritocracy. We don't need view counts. Let's just flatten it all. And so I am actually sad to see the view counts are now back.
But you're posting on it. But right after that, you're posting on Instagram. Are you still going to post on Instagram? Or is that going to be more of your privates?
My Instagram is more for things for my really close friends like Dave Kitchen to see and reply to about my workouts. Yes, there's a separation of church and state between my Instagram and my other channels, Dave.
But you did put you did put your draft. You didn't put any other drafts that you've done, the randomizer drafts. Yes. But you did put the draft with Tom Everett Scott on your Instagram page.
Well, it's pretty easy. Well, a lot of my friends and family know who Tom Everett Scott is. And no offense, Rich Rebar, but they don't know who you are.
What a slap in the face to Rich.
I know. just like, oh wow, I was like, oh, Pete's bringing his fantasy football stuff over to his Instagram, and then I realized that it was just a name drop. The wonderful Tom Everett Scott.
I pick my spots when I know there might be a little. I mean, as you guys know, the overlap with people outside of this space that care about things that go in here, it's like that Venn diagram is like 1%. So if I have a 1%er, just so that what am I doing all the time? Oh, I'm hanging out with movie stars. That's what I want them to think.
Pete, I have a guy for you to try and transact with. John Isner, big football fan, followed a couple guys from the football community over the last couple weeks. Also a Bitcoin guy.
He's a tennis player, right?
Yeah, one of the 15 or so best American players.
It's just a way for you to brag that he follows you.
I was like, where is this even going other than Davis dropping his name? I've got a guy for you.
Remember 4 years ago when Jose Batista followed everyone?
Followed everybody.
And everybody was like, oh my gosh, Jose Batista follows me.
You know how I impress people is by telling them that QB1 asked me weekly fantasy advice. Jason Street.
Is that true?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That is cool.
Did you watch Friday Night Lights?
Great show.
What? I did not think that you'd be a Friday Night Lights fan.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite bands does all the music for it. So that's how
good lineup. Yeah, good lineup building music.
I mean, I told you about them. So
what?
Dude, you didn't know about Explosions in the Sky before me, and
I did too.
I learned about Explosions in the Sky from Davis. I'll give him that one.
They were on like Friday Night Lights before I even met you.
This is like one of my big brand things, and I'm not going to have you take it from me.
All right. Well, if we're doing that, then
so just so we understand,
I founded Kings of Leon before anybody else. So
just so we understand, Davis is taking credit over Friday Night Lights for popularizing Explosions in the Sky. That's what's
just within the DFS community. Yeah.
Shout out Scott Porter. Shout out Tim Riggins.
If you like Explosions in the Sky, check out Mogwai, the original Explosions in the Sky. There you go.
Yeah. If you get into a
Davis
YouTube,
also told us about that.
No, sure. I didn't know about Mogwai, and then I don't know, maybe a year ago, I stopped listening to music on my iTunes and started listening on YouTube because it would recommend me music, and I found Mogwai from that.
And they're pretty good. Does that as well. What's I'm going to butcher this name because I've never had to say it, but Sigur Rós, is that how you say it?
Sigur Rós, but boy, you trying to take a stab out of it is just.
I knew Peter would know who it is because it's kind of weird music, and they don't even speak English, I don't think.
So they are an Icelandic band, but they speak in this gibberish that they call Hopelandic. It's not even technically Icelandic. So yeah, you're in deep in the indie weeds, Dave.
Only because my college roommate, who is now known as Mickey Echo, wrote the famous song "Stay" by Rihanna. He listened to him in college, so I'm just like co-signing on his takes, basically.
There you go.
I listened to some weird stuff because I was influenced in college. Did you? So I've got Kings of Leon. Davis has Explosions in the Sky. What band that is now popular that you were on before anybody else, Peter?
I have a really embarrassing one that I don't actually want to take credit for. I went to one of the first ever live shows of The Fray.
That's an extremely on-brand answer for Pete.
Whoa! Did you have
I have a better one. I have a better one in terms of I knew before they were big than.
Go for it, Davis.
You continue your story, Pete. Continue The Fray.
No, that's pretty bad. It was like their first show at like a non-dive bar. Their parents were there and they brought them on stage after. And about a year and a half later, How to Save a Life was on every single radio station in America.
Save a life. Over my head. That was that was like during the MySpace days.
Yeah.
So that's how Kings of Leon came about too. All right, Davis, what's your big one that you have to reveal?
That I saw Mac Miller in a bar with probably, I would guess, 100 people in Lawrence, Kansas in like early 2010. And then a year later, he was on MTV and doing worldwide tours and stuff. But it was just before he had become like a real thing.
I remember when you were a big Mac Miller fan.
Still am, bro.
Huddle, someone just sent me a DM. It just said, "Cash out king, ... He might lose it all today."
That's why it's so fun watching him. I mean, I know he has a lot of money on Dustin Johnson, who started out the day with like a double, a birdie, and then a triple. And then, of course, he's just going to keep chasing. This is why it's thrilling. I mean, there's a reason if he's real. I think he is. If he's real, there's a reason why Bet Rivers allows him to keep betting. Right?
I pray, because he specifically called out Rovell. I pray that when he hits rock bottom, Rovell writes a 5,000-word feature on him.
Goes and visits him in jail.
Yeah.
Isn't Parlay Pats in jail?
Kills me to this day, man. He was one of the greats, and we lost him.
All right, let's bring it back.
The Len bias of parlays.
Let's bring it back to the NFL.
Parlay Pats.
All right, legit or bit? You got to go around, say something that is perplexing you or that you agree with, and maybe others don't. But you want to know: do others have a legit or bit take on it? Davis, let's start with you.
Mark Ingram, absolute one of the all-time sucker bets in sports speculation history in the year of our Lord 2020.
Are you talking about redraft?
You predicting a long dynasty future for Mark Ingram?
Well, that's why I thought that like you acting like his redraft value is not there. Is that what you're saying basically?
I'm not taking him anywhere. Yeah.
All right.
Think
that. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I do think that something has to give when you look at Ingram and Dobbins ADP. They're going very close to it. Like one of those is just massively, massively off. And so I just think something weird's going on that people are so willing to draft those guys at that. Right? I think they both should probably drop a couple rounds in ADP.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think as we get closer to the season, I think Ingram's ADP will drop because people will become more aware of Dobbins. Basically, you're going to have more touts talking about it. I think his ADP will drop, but I also don't hate like in the Scott Fish Bowl. Mark Ingram was almost a value. Like I almost drafted him as someone who was going to get a lot of carries. Yeah,
his average ADP was 65.2. So going at what, the top of the sixth round? Yeah.
Yeah. For teams that and he was available like in the seventh or eighth for us. So, just getting a guy that could be at the touchdown score.
Here's the thing. People are paying like, okay, Dave, you drafted Marlon Mack. What round did you get him?
10th or 11th.
10th, 11th round. So you're paying almost a 5 or 6 round premium just to have a piece of the Ravens offense when there's really no difference between Mark Ingram and Marlon Mack with the incoming rookie coming for them. They still have issues with not catching passes.
And Ingram is 34.
Yeah.
Right? He's not young. No, he's not 34.
He's like
Mark
31.
Ingram, age... He'll be 31 when the season starts.
Mark Ingram, Twitter audit, all paid followers.
All right. Pete, legit or bit?
Mark Ingram's ADP is a bit.
Okay. Tuttle?
I'll go with the bit side.
Yeah, I'll say slight bit. All right, Pete, what you got for a legit or bit?
Yeah, I'm going to keep on the running backs in this range who I think are being overdrafted. Cam Akers, ADP, legit or a bit. And guess I'll frame it in a slightly different way. Cam Akers and Zach Moss should have the same ADP, legit or a bit.
Bit. Oh, I'm so tilted. Such a bit.
You love Akers. It's such a bad take.
Why?
I do. I love Cam Akers.
Like, Davis, go ahead and explain.
Yeah.
First off, he didn't run a 4.7. He didn't run a 4.740 at the combine, so he's got that going for him over Zach Moss. He plays for a team that 2 out of the 3 years the head coach has been coaching has targeted the running backs over 100 times. They didn't last year because Todd Gurley could no longer cut laterally up the field, and even in a timeshare with Darrell Henderson. Very similar to Ronald Jones, actually. I expect Akers to have value in the timeshare, but there's also just a chance that, some guys, Bishop Sankey style guys, like they literally just are never good enough to play in the NFL. And Henderson might be one of those guys.
All right.
Do you guys remember who was on Zach Moss before being on Zach Moss was cool?
Was that you?
I believe I drafted him in our draft.
Our rookie draft.
Yeah,
You're right.
I believe I had him in our rookie draft, and
giving
me crap for him. And then Adam Levitan comes out and starts touting him, and then it's all cool.
It is funny. I keep waiting for people to cite the 4-man Swolecast draft as the Zach Moss,
industry, like the industry thought leader for Zach Moss. Yeah, no doubt.
Well, Zach Moss, Peter and I both got him in the 12th round. So there you go.
Yeah.
This is something I can't get on board. I mean, in the 12th round is fine, but Crane and Pete are in, big Zach Moss. Like they're in the pocket of big Zach Moss. And I do not agree.
Again, okay, whatever. I'm over it. I don't like arguing about football.
You do when it's the DMs. You just can't let your brand be tarnished by seriously discussing Zach Moss's role in Buffalo on a podcast.
It's true.
Okay. Tuttle?
Legit or a bit, Jerick McKinnon is in the best shape of his life.
Ooh.
Legit, dude.
Every single offseason.
I don't know if it's legit, but I do think that he is a legit good 0 RB end of the round or end of the draft candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm never it's going to take a lot for me to fade Jerick McKinnon. Like the only time I think I faded Jerick McKinnon is last year when he had a 3rd round ADP. And I'm like, okay, that's probably too high. And then of course he tore his ACL, but every other year I'm like a believer. This guy has had the chips stacked against him his whole life. He's got the LT comparison as far as athletic profile. I mean, why not? Why not in this San Francisco offense?
Who are you comparing to LaDainian Tomlinson? I just passed out.
Welcome to the conversation. Jerick McKinnon.
I want to get in on the McKinnon love. He's insanely cheap, and we see this scenario play out with backfields like the Patriots and the 49ers where they have good running games, and they are not afraid to shuffle up the depth chart on a moment's notice. We saw Matt Breida get relegated so quickly to the doghouse last year, and all of a sudden Tevin Coleman became a thing. It's been a trope for years when Brady was in New England. You just take the cheapest running back, and it's the best proposition for turning a profit. I don't know why we aren't viewing the 49ers backfield similarly. People are paying a premium for Mostert, which is ridiculous. Coleman is a pricey 0 running back target, but McKinnon is free. And to Dave's point, he's a freak. He's so talented. It's always just, is he going to stay healthy? But there's no cost to pick him and find out.
All right, guys, we've got a theme going, and I'm just going to keep it going. And I'm not going to talk about Keyshawn Vaughn or Derrick Henry. It's going to be the guy who is in the middle ADP-wise of Mark Ingram and Zach Moss. And that is a Mr. Darius Geis. Legit or bit? Pete, you just gave me the gross face right now.
I have never been a Darius Geis guy. I think it's a bit. I like Antonio Gibson. I'd rather play that backfield cheap. That said, he is starting to fall in drafts. In our FFPC draft that Pat and I are doing, he went in the 8th or 9th round to the point where Pat and I were like, we might actually have to consider this. So he is falling into that 0 RB target range, but he's not my guy.
Kitchen, if you had to guess the last game in which Darius Geis played over 50% of his team snaps, at what year would you have guessed that took place in?
I mean, I would guessing his junior year at LSU.
Yeah, the last time it happened was in December of 2018. So,
but he was very good there in December of 2018. He's a guy that just had a couple bad injuries, and now you can get him on the cheap. The only issue is that he's fighting.
You can't get him on the cheap. You can get McKinnon cheap. You have to Darius Geis is going ahead of Phillip Lindsay, who is unilaterally the better pick.
No,
all right.
Dave's been grinding those Geis workout videos. Does anyone have a better workout video promoter than Darius Geis? I mean,
every offseason with this guy.
It's just if he can stay healthy, he is away. Davis, if your take is, I don't like him because I think he might be injury prone, right?
I don't think he's injury prone. I just think he legitimately is not healthy.
Yeah. All right. But if he is healthy, you would still take Derrick Lindsay over Geis. Is that what you're saying? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. That's a bit right now.
I just had to think about it for a second. But yeah, I mean, I don't even have Geis projected for that meaningful of a workload without projecting him for injury already.
And the other thing about Geis is, first of all, Adrian Peterson's still there, and the team is more than willing to give him carries. Bryce Love is still there, who the team continues to talk up. And then they drafted Antonio Gibson, who is going
There's more.
There's more. Who else am I missing? Oh, Antonio Gibson is going to catch the passes. So I don't see the path to a Geis, workhorse role in that offense.
They also signed Peyton Barber. They also signed J.D. McKissick. All they have 6 running backs on the roster right now.
Okay,
5 of which
they're not going to keep all 6 running backs though. So yeah, call me a Geis truther. It didn't work out. For me last year.
What bet can we make on Geis? What can
Geis
we get
Lindsay
down?
Geis Lindsay bet is a fine one for me.
Okay,
so
booked 25.
Over under
Done.
Number of weeks David plays Darius Geis on DraftKings.
I mean, all 16 of them if he's healthy.
What his salary is, but
he's a better play on FanDuel.
The touchdowns.
Remember when Davis would fade Derrick Henry and AJ Brown every week? It was just amazing. All right. Final thoughts. Closing thoughts. What do you got, Davis?
Thank you.
With the yawn.
David, thank you for acknowledging that I introduced you to Explosions in the Sky. I think that was a big moment in the history of the show.
Yeah.
While we're at it, Dave, thank you for building RotoGrinders brick by brick and getting Derrick Henry that $50 million contract.
RG would not be here without you, bud.
Tuttle, now is where you say something flattering about David Kitchen. Rule of 3s.
Say something about how Fantasy Insiders had the first optimizer ever.
David, it's just been a pleasure all throughout these years to be associated with somebody so good looking,
so hardworking,
so committed to their body. It's just been awesome.
All right. Shout out to the RG 10-year anniversary, 10 years. I mean, people that put in the work, not only myself, but Derrick Henry, Cal, Cam, Dan, all that, Riley, the guys that built RotoGrinders, they deserve what happens to them as far as just getting paid. And so that's where we're at. And hopefully we'll be around. I don't know what things are going to look like in another 10 years. As long as society's here in 10 years, then hopefully we'll be around as well. That's what I would say.
Such an optimistic projecting society to exist in 10 years.
End on the positive.
Can I actually end on just one other additional positive note?
Yeah, sure.
Congratulations to Dr. Chow and Clay Travis for their new partnership.
With Jason Whitlock too. I mean, it's just.
What do you think, Evan? Do you think that this means that he leaves the established the run, the Silva? Because he and Silva are pretty tight.
Yeah, I have been wondering how this is going to affect the relationship.
Well, I actually think that Outkick the Coverage just folds in to establish the run.
They might acquire.
I heard Levitan
or vice versa.
They're going to have a weekly podcast.
Oh, vice versa. Can you imagine if Outkick acquires Establish the Run and Dink has to work for Clay Travis? I'm here for it.
Dink's rich enough to quit, bro.
I'm here for everyone just getting triggered. That's what I'm here for. All right. Let's end it on this positive note. Shout out to everyone listening. Shout out to our producer Devin, for Charlie. Charlie just like putting in the work with all the gifts every week on social media. Still looking for that social media intern. It'll happen. But we'll see y'all next week. Episode 16 here on the Offseason Swolecast.